Hey, it's Patrick Lovell coming at you on Friday, September 2nd, 2022. And did you catch Biden's speech last night? It was called The Battle for the Soul of a Nation. In fact, it could be retermed roughly Democracy is in Peril. Now, if you watched it, well, before I say that, I would recommend that you all watch it. And it's available on social media. You can find it a million different ways, but it's important to see what the current sitting president is saying about the challenges that are ahead. But there was also a reason why this is landing now, as the I don't know the it's kind of like sweeps weeks in a sense, where there's been kind of an ongoing sort of victory lap for the Biden administration because a lot of good things have happened relative to what hasn't been happening over the course of a long time. But it all kind of culminated with the speech. And, it's all in lieu of the midterms and what the choices are. And at the moment, the choices appear to be you're either going to be for a Confederate coup d'etat or, of course, what appears to be, at least according to President Biden, the professionals that adhere to the rule of law and liberty and justice for all. So let's kind of think about a couple of things that were said last night in this speech. A couple of things that stood out to me were right from the beginning, President Biden said, "We the people are heirs to democracy, the sacred flame of liberty that has guided us through our most brutally challenging times." Amen. I talk about that all the time. I talk about the birth of the nation in terms of, ridding itself of the corruption and purging itself of the injustice of King George III and everything that came with it. That, of course, led to the brutality of slavery, but we overcame that problem after a long, long, long period of battling amongst ourselves that came out of the Civil War and so forth through our wars, culminating with the war against fascism. It was pretty interesting when he said that we have to be honest with ourselves. Couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I try to bring to your attention and encourage you to understand day in and day out. President Biden then went on to say that what we're dealing with is not normal. Amen to that. But I think normal and the battle against this deception that makes us think some sort of normal exists has been going on for at least 13 years, hence the journey that I've been on. But then, of course, and predictably so, President Biden went on to put everything on MAGA. He said that MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution, nor do they accept or respect the law that undermines democracy. They don't. He's absolutely right about that. He said that MAGA is a clear and present danger. There's no question about it. He said that MAGA is thwarting the will of the people. Well, obviously, they did on January 6th. And Biden also said that we're not powerless to this threat. That was intriguing, especially if you understand the power of surveillance and also deep state and everything that it appears that our high-tech society and control of the message has been incredibly effective at for a very long time. President Biden went on to also say that the power is in our hands and we must meet the threat to democracy and we have to choose. He said that they, meaning MAGA, don't live in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. Yeah, but the conundrum here is I about fell out of my chair because of everything that I've been bringing to you day in and day out, because that is exactly what the entire apparatus is in the midst of. Biden said we have to believe in honesty and liberty and justice, and we have to defend it, each and every one of us, and we have to unite behind the defense of democracy against the ideology of hatred. Yeah. In any normal set of circumstances, that's a no-brainer. But he finishes off and he says that this is a nation that honors the will of the people and the rule of the law. Look, Biden and the Democrats would have us believe that this is an existential fight between the light of liberty and um, uh, the dignity, the integrity of democracy under the rule of law versus a Confederate, coup d'etat. That's not what it is. It's a coup d'etat by the financial system that pulled the largest criminal conspiracy and cover-up in history, that betrayed the rule of law, betrayed all Americans, and then pulled an end round with the Federal Reserve to steal and loot trillions of dollars that buried millions of Americans, and all of it was illegal. What it means is that what we're really facing is a battle between the Confederates and the coup d'etat that it represents, and then, of course, the party of BlackRock, or Goldman Sachs, or Chase, or Wells Fargo, or any number of the financial system that has everybody else under, servitude and indentured service. They are above the law. The only law that exists is the law that the financial industry has stuffed down our throats while stuffing their face with the looted trillions that they stole while betraying everyone. I cannot underscore the truth more than I already have and will continue to do, that lays out for you that millions of people were set up in a massive criminal global crime spree, that when it blew up, the financial system used its tools of leverage and power to use the central bank to lie to the American people, lie to Congress, and pull a backdoor $29 trillion bailout using the full faith and credit of the United States to basically guarantee a criminal racket, which is the fucking mob. Okay? Just because they have pinstripes and are bald and have glasses and come out of the Ivy League doesn't make them what they are. They have been stealing, looting, lying, and denying, and then creating a situation where ultimately something like MAGA happened. Okay? It's not the first time in fucking history, if you want to know the truth. But at the same time, are we going to accept this incredibly inspiring speech by President Biden, who has been in the system for 4 decades? Now, as I've said in previous lectures, so to speak, truth bombs, sermons, whatever you want to call them, that Biden is like everybody's kind of acceptable guy to the machine and also to the unions that supported him. And he was never a diabolical mastermind, but he was in close proximity to those that were. Whether it was President Clinton off the heels of President Bush, that led to then, of course, President Bush, that then led to, of course, everything Obama. All of them were in this situation. And it's gone out of control for literally 20 plus years. Yes, President Biden is right. We are in a war for the battle of the soul of our nation. Democracy is not just in peril, it's been crushed. It's been bulldozed, run over, thrown in the trash because it's garbage to the people that are in control. And just because they accept, all people under the flag, so to speak, to play their game of rotten, villainous deception doesn't make that democracy. It's a criminal syndicate. I mean, I thought about this line, and I can't let this go. That the MAGAs don't live in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. So does the system. It's literally the new Confederates versus the new robber barons, and it's really the United States of BlackRock and Goldman Sachs, and they're above the law. I'm going to just say it one last time in context to what is really truly going on. We are in the crosshairs of history. Yes, liberty and justice for all matters above all else. The only way you can have that is a democracy. The only way you can have that is with free elections. But the only way you get all of that is through the integrity of law. And what I'm trying to tell you is that the law has betrayed us because of white shoe law firms, big money, the way these guys can orchestrate all sorts of gymnastics to basically bury the truth. And I'm telling you, it's not rocket science, it's racketeering. Everything is on display in the con at www.thecon.tv. There are many of you out there that are starting to respond to me. There are many of you that are starting to understand because of the consistency and the continuity and everything that you discover that I put out there. You're starting to say, where have you been? I get this on a daily basis, more times than you can possibly imagine, which is nice, but we literally need tens of millions of people to get it. That's the only way we're going to overcome the madness of corruption. Look, I am not trying to derail the midterms. I am not trying to take away people that might otherwise vote for Biden that would somehow be able to prevent the continuing momentum of MAGA. I'm all in on against all things MAGA, okay? Even if I have to, whip back home, and I'm going to, and vote in this election, that's definitely what I'm going to do. That's why we have created a March on Washington at the Federal Reserve on 11/1/22 to elevate the truth of what it is that I'm telling you that you all have to become equipped with. There were 16 million filed foreclosures. Chances are every one of you knows somebody who went through this if you didn't go through it yourself. That's at least 50 million Americans, roughly 48 to 50 million Americans, but there was more. You all got set up. So did pensioners, so did municipalities, so did unions. All sorts of everybody was collateral damage for this thing. And then over the course of 13 years, because of things that worked out with different types of packages like in the CARES Act and so forth, some people got made square again, but it was after years and years of being freaking destroyed in their lives. I mean, I know people who died of heart attacks, people who've committed suicide, homeless, divorce. It's just the collateral damage is epic. This is financial terrorism. And the best chance we have at the moment is to, A, have what President Biden continues to tell us become central to defeating the incredible lawlessness of MAGA. But we have to stay focused on what created MAGA and what fuels the Democratic Party. They have been like this with Wall Street for decades. And I'm not against capitalism, just the opposite. I'm telling you, this is not capitalism. This is a corporate fascist syndicate, a state undergirded by a criminal syndicate. The Federal Reserve since 2009 has been pumping free money into the system of finance that then creates all sorts of different types of games. You know, we all know the casino. Let's try to go down that path for just a moment. Look, it is a casino, okay? And so you got to think about the house, right? So we've all been into a casino. Maybe sometimes you've been on a roll. Maybe you're actually a really good gambler, maybe a professional gambler. Maybe there's certain games that you have a better chance at actually winning if you actually know how the game is played, whether you're at one of the tables, whether you're throwing the dice, whether you're in a sports book. You know, I'm sure that there's professionals that know how to hedge and play and do all of the different things that manifest, hopefully, a better outcome than losses. But everybody knows it's the roll of the dice, and you're going to be up or down or whatever. And the house will always win because they're playing the percentages, and they're pretty much infinite, right? So whoever gets into the notion of who is the house and how is the house financed, well, guaranteed all of these major casinos have to borrow just like everybody else does. Who are they borrowing from? Well, they're borrowing from Wall Street. Okay, and they're publicly traded, and that's part and parcel to a lot of the capital that they're able to build these, giant casinos that people love to go and get entertained by, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, would you put it past the casinos to rig some machines' outcomes so that every once in a while somebody's going to win, but most people are going to lose? Or do they know exactly how to skew the outcome more times than not? I'm sure they do. But if you catch them outright cheating, spying on cards and everything else where they're basically destroying you and you don't know it and you find out later, you're going to be really, really upset about it and you're going to demand your money back. Or you're going to do something more extreme. Who knows, right? But in this particular case, Wall Street's house is the Federal Reserve. And Wall Street set everybody up with the American dream, or at least the facade that that's what was happening. And in the race to get more and more and more loans based on what we demonstrate in the con, they got more and more people that were not financially ready to get into that type of loan so that they could lie to them and they could deceive them. And they did it at every step of the way, which is the process, which is the game, which is the casino. And we lay it all out for you in the con.tv, only to collapse the world based on illegal reps and warranties, based on deceptive acts and practices, based on fraud, which are all illegal. None of it was shenanigans. Shenanigans, just so you know, is like Blutarski and Delta House going after, Dean Werner at the freaking parade in Animal House, if you don't know the reference, or any other sort of scenario that we've seen in some funny comedies throughout history. This isn't shenanigans. This is illegal fucking train-wrecking behavior that destroyed the golden goose, and they've done it for decades, and they pocketed the difference by smashing and grabbing the American middle class after destroying the golden goose and then destroying our capacity to maintain the American dream and consumerism. Why? Because that's what happened when you get out of balance. And this system of organized crime has been looting for decades. And nobody has ever stopped them because they're above the law, because they make the law, because they pay for the law, and they've betrayed all of us. They have deceived us. They're cunning. They're smart. They're relentless, and they never quit. Why? Because you don't know how the game is rigged and what they've done against you, and it's giant. And so President Biden is right about Trump and MAGA, but everything he said, most notably, is that they don't live in the light of truth, but the shadow of lies. That's what I'm telling you. If you've got the truth, you're bulletproof. I'm trying to embolden you with the light of liberty, just like President Biden is calling for, so that we, the people, demonstrate what we've inherited. We have to overcome the circus, the ocean, the lies, the madness with the truth. I have it. I'm not crazy. I'm not Alex Jones. I'm not Rachel Maddow. I'm not Anderson Cooper. I'm not Tucker Carlson. I'm not Bernie Sanders. I'm not Elizabeth Warren. I'm not, you name the entire Republican Party. I'm a guy that went the distance to find these truths, to bring it to you, that the entire system has canceled, collapsed, won't listen to, because they know that you cannot have the truth. I hate to sound like Jack Nicholson. Maybe it's right. Maybe you can't handle the truth. But I know there's 1 in 100 of you that can, and you have to join us, and we have to march in front of the Federal Reserve on 11/1/22, because if we truly are what Biden is calling for, then we're going to show up and we're going to make some noise. Not to freaking get people to blow up the midterms so that they don't actually vote to thwart MAGA. We've timed this such that we elevate the truth above all of this noise so we can throw a freaking wrench in their engine of corruption. When you have the truth, you're bulletproof. Failure is not an option. The truth is marching. When the system fails, the righteous rise. Onwards and upwards.